All right. Welcome to our January 2024 Kansas Local Food Systems Virtual Town Hall. I know many of you know me already, but I'm Rebecca McMahon, the Local Food System Program Administrator for K-State Research and Extension. On behalf of our entire local food transdisciplinary team, we would like to thank you for taking time out of your schedules to join us for the town hall today. As with each town hall, we're excited to feature a number of different opportunities that may be of interest to you or others in your community. So I know many of you have attended these town halls before, but there's likely several of you that are brand new, or maybe it's been a couple of iterations of the town hall since you've attended. So before we move on to our agenda, we do want to do a quick poll to help us know a little more about your participation in these town halls. So I'm going to go ahead and start the poll, and you can see the questions on your screen here. The first question is simply if you've attended a quarterly town hall in the past. Yes, more than one time. Yes, one other time. No, this is my first, or maybe you're not sure. They've maybe looked or sounded a little different over the past couple of years. And then I don't have a slide for this one, but the second question is asking what part of Kansas you live in. So Northeast, North Central, Northwest, Southwest, South Central, Southeast, or maybe you are joining us from outside of Kansas, which is great as well. So give you a few more seconds to finish up those poll questions. Okay. So just so you all can kind of see who's joining us, we've got a number of folks that are repeat attenders, and again, several new participants. So welcome to those of you that this is your first time. And as far as parts of the state, we've got a good number from Northeast, a solid number from North Central, and then kind of a few from other parts of the state, as well as 4 from outside of Kansas. So again, welcome to everyone. Just again, to help everyone know a little bit better who is in our virtual town hall room, if you could please put your name and your business or organization or position into the chat, so that, and maybe the part of the state or where you're from, just go ahead and drop those into the chat so that you can connect with others or others can connect with you as we get going on. So today's agenda, we have 4 lightning presentations, which we're starting out with here next. All of our topics today are in some way, shape, or form related to funding, either groups that have received funding through grants or similar types of things, or are providing funding opportunities for you and your communities. Maybe some of them are both. And we'll then, after we do those lightning presentations, we will give a quick update on our Regional Food System Partnership Grant, and then we will open it up for announcements and discussion. So I know that there's several of you that have had exciting things happen over the last few months, or maybe you have upcoming events. So be prepared when we get to that point to unmute and share or put things into the chat. So with that, let's get started with our first lightning presentation. So the way this works, if you're new to our town hall, is we are going to go through all 4 of the lightning presentations, one right after the other. I will advance the slides. So to all of our speakers, as you are ready for the slides to be moved forward, just let me know and I will get that taken care of for you. If you have questions for our speakers, feel free to drop those into the chat while they are speaking. And then we will do kind of the broad Q&A after all 4 of our speakers have gone. That kind of keeps us on time and on track a little bit. So speakers, you are welcome to start answering questions in the chat as we go along, and then we'll answer them for the broader group and for the recording when we get finished with all 4 speakers. So our first speaker today, we would like to welcome Brittany Beck, who is the Executive Director of the Center of Excellence for Regenerative Native Agriculture. So welcome, Brittany. I will turn the microphone over to you. And as I said, just let me know when you want me to advance the slides.
Thank you, Rebecca, for having us today. All right. So as Rebecca said, my name is Brittany Beck, and I am a tribal citizen of the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, as well as the executive director for this new program, which we developed last year. So what this program is it is a pilot program that was funded through a grant with the USDA Partnerships for Climate Smart Commodities. And this is all about taking care of our soil health, and we're incentivizing. Actually, I'll get into that. I'm going to go to the next slide really quick, and I'll keep going on the details. But what we're doing here is we're helping incentivize our farmer audience or landowning audience to implement regenerative ag practices into their current operations. And we're also helping to market those commodities for a premium on top of what you would get just taking it to your grain to the elevator, or maybe even what's on the Chicago Board of Trade or the Kansas City Board of Trade. So we're really trying to help from beginning to end of this entire process, from farming even to getting those commodity markets to the dinner table. And with that being said, in this process, we are also measuring and monitoring the greenhouse gas benefits of that, as well as other micro and macronutrient soil health characteristics. Our participants will have access to all of that, and they can really see how the soil improvement from beginning to end of this pilot program, which is for 5 years, and then beyond, if they continue to choose to continue to keep implementing these practices or using these practices within their operations. Next slide. So what are these commodities? Here are listed, a lot of the common commodities that we grow in Kansas: soybeans, corn, sunflowers, Milo. But this isn't all. Hemp is included in here too, and we do have some participation with growers of a little bit of everything. The incentivizing part happens where we can help incentivize up to 2 practices per year into a current operation. And then what are those practices? Things such as introducing cover crops, or reduced tillage, and maybe it's reduction of synthetic fertilizers, livestock integration, everything that we have kind of listed in that second slide. And then we're also working with a really great group of partners, but Miraterra is one that's going to that is helping us quantify and measure all of those soil health characteristics, and also the greenhouse gas benefits. And then our other partner, Regenified, helps to actually do some of the marketing portion of these crop commodities, but these will be Regenified certified. And if you aren't familiar with Regenified, they have a really great website that can go into detail on their standard. But when a consumer is holding something with a Regenified certification label, they know that their product is coming from a farm that is practicing regenerative and sustainable ag practices. And some of those companies you are surely familiar with. There's Maker's Mark, King Arthur, the wheat flour. There's a big egg brand, I think it's called Vital Farms. So those are just a few of the big players that are Regenified certified. Next slide. And here's our mission statement. And we really are passionate and take this seriously, but we really are focused on empowering and elevating our farmers. And for this grant, our focus audience was written in its tribal nations. If that's applicable to anyone that you know, please send them our way. And we hope to include those outside of tribal nations, because as we all know, the land does not see fence posts. They do not see these boundaries of states and countries that we've put in as humans. But we're really here with this program to empower those farmers as the stewards of the land, and are focusing heavily on education with participants so they really understand from beginning to end all about soil health and the benefits of what they're doing from farm to table, to the, getting their commodity into the hands of our grandmas, our sisters, our brothers, whoever's going to make that wonderful food into something that we're lovingly giving to those that are ready to eat it. We're focused on training and technical assistance, and then really helping to create market access for those participants to receive a premium and really see the benefit of what they're doing in a really great way. So that we're really passionate about everything that we're doing there. Next slide. So here is our contact information. My colleague Artis Vanna is on the call too, and he is super knowledgeable about all the little details. So please feel free to reach out to either one of us or both of us. Our website's listed down here, and we would love for any of you to get on and check out and see what we're doing within our Department of Agriculture up at the reservation in Northeast Kansas. And Southeast Nebraska. And then also QR code if you know of someone, or if you are interested in learning more about this program or enrolling, feel free to get your iPhone and click right there. But thank you again for having us.
Thanks, Brittany. Thanks for joining us today. So again, if you have questions for Brittany, feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll come back to those after our other presenters. So our next presenter today is Jessica Nad, the Executive Director of K-State 105, to give us an overview of what K-State 105 is all about and how it might benefit your communities. So Jessica, microphone is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And Brittany, thank you so much for that presentation. I always enjoy learning more about that space. So as mentioned, I'm going to be talking about K-State 105. I'm the director of this initiative that is a statewide small business initiative. We're funded by the state of Kansas. We were given $5 million for fiscal year 2024 and $5 million for fiscal year 2025. And so how did we get here? K-State 105 answers the call for a comprehensive economic growth across the state. But the reason why we're here, and the big question of why K-State, why a university, first and foremost, the university in itself has an economic prosperity plan that we take a look at frequently, and we kind of match the needs of Kansans. But also the Kansas Board of Regents and the Department of Commerce share some similar language that talks about universities and colleges should be economic drivers within our communities. And so this is Kansas State University stepping up into that role. It's also a part of our K-State Next Gen prosperity plan that we're moving forward with. And really, it's just a very exciting time to be at K-State and to be in the state of Kansas. So how are we doing this? Essentially, we're going to work in several different ways, one of which will be leveraging our statewide research and extension network across the state. We are present in 105 counties, which is all of the counties, which is also why we call it K-State 105. And research and extension is really the heartbeat of our state. And then we are looking at partnerships and other ways that we can strategically work together, and perhaps in ways that we haven't done in the past to be able to bring this economic prosperity. So to the next slide. For a lot of you in the audience today, you know that the state of Kansas has experienced uneven economic growth, east to west, north to south, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. But we also know that what the economic engines of our small rural communities are is small business and small business development. And so that's why K-State 105 is taking an entrepreneurship, small business focus into our initiative to figure out ways to be able to leverage levels of support throughout the state. We also have a focus on workforce issues that many communities face, which would be things like housing, healthcare, childcare. We're also taking a look at broadband. And then in particular, the state of Kansas, are water issues that do face communities, and water issues can affect housing. They can affect home values, and they can affect a lot of things that really matter to Kansans. So those are some of the things that we're taking a look at. Next slide, please. So what can you expect out of K-State 105? What are some of the outcomes that the state of Kansas has asked us to determine? So first and foremost, we're going to be thinking about job creation within our communities all across the state, capital and equity investment, whether that's leveraging new investment for communities or being able to do things with matching funds through our partnerships, through in-kind development, business development, and funding and technical assistance. So next slide, please. The good news is we're not doing this alone. As I mentioned, K-State 105 is about leveraging networks, and the way that we think about this is through elevating and highlighting the research and extension network that's already in your community, in your backyard, doing fantastic work. But there might be opportunities to add in layers of support, and so we might do that with other colleges and universities. For example, one of the first projects that we funded was being able to build out capabilities in the Small Business Development Center at Fort Hays State University through the Innovation Center, which is a group of counties in the northwest part of the state that have a similar mission. But it also could look like building additional capabilities and strengths with other statewide partners. Right now, we have a statewide partner that is Network Kansas. We think of them as our founding partner, and through their state reach, we're able to just add on an extra layer of support. And so that's the part that's really exciting about K-State 105, and we are open for more partners. So so the initiative has been live for about 6 months. Myself and one of our other directors have been here for just about 4 months. We've had over 150 incoming inquiries to us on a formal basis, but then you could probably say that we've doubled that in terms of people who are interested and want more information about our initiative. So it has been really exciting to watch this come alive. So next slide, please. So really what our mission is to serve Kansas. Our mission is to be able to stack support, stack capabilities, and really draw out this collective effort. The partnership begins right here at Kansas State University, and this could look like opening up different colleges within the university, architecture, engineering pathways, health and human services. So stacking that together with other higher ed partners, Fort Hays State University, Kansas University, Wichita State. We are in just some amazing conversations that haven't happened before to be able to leverage a statewide support. Business and industry partners are very critical components to our network because they bring expertise in the real world that we may or may not have. So that layer of support has been just tremendous to watch those relationships flourish. Nonprofit partners, which a lot of you on this call might be interested in thinking about ways that we can partner with nonprofits, and then some of our state agencies. So next slide, please. Or maybe was that the last slide? Was that the last one? Okay. So fantastic. I think that our link was put into the chat. If you have any questions about how to come into K-State 105, the best point of action is to think about your local research and extension agent and maybe start there, and then they can help direct you to the university, or you can come directly to me. My email is jnad@ksu.edu, and I'll make sure that information is in the chat. Thank you very much, Rebecca. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jessica. So again, and I didn't mention, but yes, we are putting links in the chat as we go. So do be sure to check those out and continue adding any questions you may have. So our next speaker is Brittany Grother with the Kansas Department of Ag. She is a grants coordinator. And so I feel like we could probably have her speak almost every quarter about whatever new thing is coming up. And this quarter, she is going to talk a little bit about the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. So welcome, Brittany.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Get my slides. There we go.
All right, so the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program is an annual program provided by the United States Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Marketing Service that every state has the ability to apply for funding to then subaward out to projects in their state. So the purpose of the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program in total is to enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops. And we specifically look at enhancing the competitiveness in Kansas. So this can be leveraging efforts to market and promote specialty crops, assist producers with research and development relevant to specialty crops grown here in Kansas, expanding availability and access to specialty crops, and then addressing local, regional, and national challenges for specialty crop producers. So in Kansas, we really look for that local and regional scale of impact. Next slide, please. So the definition of specialty crops by the USDA are fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, dried fruits, horticulture, nursery crops, including floriculture. So the USDA has a webpage that I can link after my presentation that kind of breaks down exactly what is considered a specialty crop down to the item. So apples, bananas, oranges, like it breaks them down item by item, so you'll know what's considered under this program. But in general, it should be plants that are cultivated or managed and used by people for food, medicinal purposes, or aesthetic gratification. So think of the floriculture and nursery crop angle for aesthetic gratification. Next slide, please. So every state gets to identify their specific funding priorities based off of what the needs are in the state. So back in, I believe, August, as part of the Agricultural Growth Summit, we had a specialty crop sector session in which we gathered some feedback from our specialty crop stakeholders in the state as to what the funding priorities should be for this upcoming funding round for the Specialty Crop Block Grant. So those three things that the industry has put the most importance on for this upcoming year are improving efficiency and reducing cost of distribution systems. So this could be projects that are looking to understand gaps in systems or supply and demand issues statewide. The second priority is sustainability, so projects with environmental or conservation focused outcomes, and then increasing nutrition knowledge and consumption of specialty crops. So for that one, projects could look like increasing child and adult nutrition knowledge and consumption of specialty crops, developing materials to better educate specialty crop producers and buyers on food safety practices, or projects that create awareness of specialty crops in Kansas to consumers. So KDA gives preference to projects that are 1 year in duration, but projects can be up to 3 years in duration. That's just something we prioritize at the state level, are those projects that are 1 year. The grant period will begin on September 30th, 2024, and then end no later than September 29th of 2027. So keep that in mind if this is a program that seems like a good fit for a project you have in mind, that the funding is awarded basically to start October 1st of this year. So the USDA encourages projects that benefit smaller farms and ranches, new and beginning farmers and ranchers, underserved producers, veteran producers, and underserved communities. Keep that in mind as well. Next slide, please. So keep in mind that the Specialty Crop Block Grant funds projects. So this is separate from an organization's usual business operations. So A project is a set of interrelated tasks with a cohesive, distinct, specified, and defined goal. So these are different than your usual business operations because it's for a limited duration. So keep in mind that our preference is on a year, but it could be 3 years for you to execute the goals of the project. And then they use resources that are specifically allocated to this project and usually involve a team of people. Next slide, please. All right, the application process. So the application consists of a project profile template, which is provided by the USDA, which is really the meat of the application. Letters of support, which are optional but encouraged, and then an online application where you would fill in contact information, what areas of the state your project will impact, what specific specialty crops it will impact, those type of things. The request for applications document should be posted by February. The USDA, we have to wait for the USDA to publish theirs to publish ours. So we're waiting on pins and needles. Everything is teed up to go as soon as theirs come out. So if you see an announcement at the federal level, the state one should be coming within 24 hours, most likely. But we predict that will be hopefully by February. The applications are typically due in the middle of March, and then the applications will go through a competitive review process at the state level before being approved by the USDA. So they get verified at an internal level just to make sure that the project is eligible for funding. Then it goes to an external review panel to rank the projects, and then that ranking is presented to the Secretary of Agriculture for the final funding decision. Each year, Kansas usually gets around $325,000 from the federal government for this program, and projects can be no more than $75,000 for an individual project. And I see lots of people on here who have been awarded specialty crop block grants before. So if you have any questions, I can answer them in the chat, and then also I'm sure they can jump into. So thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. So our last lightning presentation for today is Erica Blair with the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative. So Erica, I will pass it over to you.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. Well, I am with the Rural Grocery Initiative. We are within Kansas K-State Research and Extension. And one of the programs that we help manage is the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative. On the right here, you can see some of our other partners that help manage this program as well. The Kansas Health Foundation, Network Kansas, IFF, which is a community development financial institution, and the Food Trust, which is a national organization. And we all work together to implement KHFI, which has a mission of increasing food access, healthy food access across Kansas at the retail level. And we do this through a combination of technical assistance and financing. So I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about the financing piece today. Next slide. So KHFI supports one-time investments to support healthy food at the retail level. So think grocery stores, farmers markets, but we also support producers who are growing food to sell it, those other retail outlets as well. If you hit the next slide button, Rebecca, here are some examples of how KHFI funds can be used. There's quite a variety of projects, including building renovation, expansion, or construction, purchasing equipment, so things like coolers, point of sale systems, farm machinery, vehicles, as well as the initial startup costs of a business. So that could be the initial inventory that it takes to get a grocery store running, for instance. Next, here are the funding packages that we have available. So we used to have grant-only funding options, but as of right now, we just have loan grant mixes. And we'll see if the grant-only piece can come back. But right now, what we can provide is a funding package that contains 15% grants and 85% loan. So we also have expanded parameters for projects that are led by Black, Indigenous, and people of color. where 20% of the funding package would be a grant and 80% would be a loan. Next slide. So here's just a snapshot of some of the projects that we have funded over the years. As you can see, there's farmers markets, you know, various grocery stores in urban communities as well as rural communities. There's a mobile market, producers. So just a variety of projects that can be eligible for KHFI funding. Next slide. And here I just want to talk really briefly about what our application process looks like. So the first step is an eligibility review. So we want to first of all make sure, does this project meet KHFI's programmatic goals? So is it committed to healthy foods? Is the project in an area where we can work? We want to specifically support projects that are in low resource and underserved areas. Is there operator experience? Does this support community needs? So that's the first step, is the eligibility review. And it's just a brief intake form that folks would fill out on our website. I think it's just 15 questions, pretty minimal. And that kind of kicks off this eligibility review that we would do. If the project is eligible, then it goes on to the second step of the process, which is the financial application phase, where the applicant would actually receive a financial application, which is, you know, much more detailed and would need some more specific numbers from the applicant. It would go to our financing partners to help fill out that application. They would connect the project with a resource partner to help with that financial application. And then from there, it would be reviewed by the KHFI Investment Committee. So that's kind of our two-step application process. Next slide. So I just wanted to point you all to some of the case studies that we have done, success stories that we've written about KHFI funded projects. So here's one, for instance, Bluestem Mercantile, which is a school-owned grocery store in Leon, which is in Butler County. So they used KHFI funding for roof repairs, purchasing coolers, a point of sale system, and initial store inventory to get that grocery store in town up and running. So I'm just going to put in the chat a link to our website where you can take a look at funded projects, so you can see some examples there. Next slide. And then also just wanted to highlight some of the impacts that KHFI has had across the state. So as you can see, we have, you know, funded or we've provided $4.5 million in funding across the state, expanded, you know, food retail space, expanded or renovated food retail space quite a bit. We have received applications from 63 counties and approved applications in 39 counties. So there's definitely more room for us to work across the state. If anyone on this call knows of projects that could be a good fit for KHFI, definitely send them our way. And then, you know, we can also see here how much other additional funding is being brought in too, with the leveraged funding of $14.76 million. So just wanted to kind of quickly share that KHFI is really having a big impact across the state and expanding food access across the state. Next slide.
I took your wrap up slide out.
Oh, this
sorry.
is it? Okay.
Yep, this is it.
Well, yeah, so just like I said, we are, you know, excited to work with projects across the state. If you think that, you know, you have a business in town that could be a good fit for KHFI, if they're looking for additional resources, please feel free to send them our way. And I will also put my email address in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Erica. So let's move into our Q&A. We haven't had a whole lot of questions come in the chat. I did see one question Artiz was asking Brittany about the specialty crop block grant, if tribes or tribal entities have the ability to apply. And also, I think he was asking about to apply and re-grant, so kind of a eligibility and a project related question. So Brittany, I don't know if you're available to answer that. She may have stepped away.
Sorry, is that one for me or the other Brittany?
Sorry,
I'm
I
getting back
know,
to it.
right? That is actually
It's for you,
Okay,
Brittany.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that tribal entities have the ability to apply for the specialty crop block grant, but I'll double check that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for any of our speakers? Okay, well, seeing or hearing none, we have put all of their contact information into the chat. So if you come up with questions later on or want to connect with them for funding opportunities or learning more about what they're doing, you can go ahead and do that. So with that, we will jump into our next piece, which is a quick update from our Regional Food System Partnership Grant. And I will pass it over to Amanda to talk a little bit about our Local Food Fellows program.
All right. Well, everyone, the Local Food Fellows program that we have launched this year is going really well. I have a group of independent fellows that are going to start the first projects. We'll get started next week, so that's really exciting. And I wanted to mention quickly that we have 5 K-State student summer fellows that we have been working on hiring. And I still have 2 positions listed here with K-State Research and Extension and the Chisholm Trail District in Liddell, Geary County that are still accepting applications. So if you know any K-State students that are interested in a summer fellowship that is paid, of course, have them check out those opportunities on our website. And we are also, I'm finishing up the final 6 independent fellow positions will be posted soon on our website. So those will be 6 additional roles that are open to anybody in those communities that are interested in applying, and they will be posted on our website very, very soon, and we'll accept applications and kind of get started on the hiring process March 1st. So we are rolling along and have a lot, 17 projects across the state in 2024. So we just encourage you to stay, up to date on our website to learn more. And of course, I'll keep giving updates, but we're excited for that.
Thanks, Amanda. The next project that we wanted to give you a really quick update on is our community roundtables. So we've talked about these, I feel like, every quarter for almost a year now at this point. So we have completed 12 in-person and 4 virtual roundtables that were done in November and December of 2023. So we had 342 people in attendance total. So we were so excited to see all of the interest, and we greatly appreciate the work that all of you did in sharing those roundtable opportunities, coming, attending the roundtables and things like that. So we do have a few more still pending. We are planning one with the Kansas Black Farmers Association actually on Friday, and doing a pretty focused roundtable with the Prairie Band Potawatomi Food Network. That was actually has to be rescheduled due to all of the winter weather that we had in January. And then we are still hoping to nail down the final details of a roundtable in Liberal. So we've only had one in the southwestern part of the state, so this will be our second Southwest Kansas roundtable. It is tentatively planned for Thursday, March 7th, but we have some details TBA. So once we know that, be looking for that information on our through our email newsletter, and plan to attend if you're in the southwest part of the state or know folks in the southwest part of the state. And then beyond that, what we hope is going to happen, things always change, but that we will we're tentatively planning to share our results at the April town hall. So we'll talk about the date of our April town hall here towards the end of the meeting, but put that on your calendar for April 24th so that you can maybe hear some of those results. The other thing that we've got going on that's a big push right now is to get out the word and about these local food producer workshops that we're holding across the state. These are workshops geared largely towards folks that are selling direct to consumer. So farmers markets, other direct to consumer sales, farm stands, things like that. They have some great training opportunities with the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, learning about how to make double up food bucks available, and things like that. So Olathe is February 9th and is also, in addition to in-person, is offering online streaming and live simultaneous Spanish interpretation, both in person and through the online streaming. And then, so if you're in a part of the state that you can't make it to an in-person workshop, jump on the Olathe one virtually. And then Hutchinson will be February 10th, Parsons February 23rd, and Hayes March 1st. So we do charge $20 for registration, or $25 if you're within the last week before the event or walk in at the door. Lunch is included. We also offer free scale certification for producers that need to get scales certified or recertified during those workshops. So you can go on our website and find more information, see the entire schedule for each workshop, and get yourself registered for that. So I will take any questions on that, and I will also open it up for general discussion and updates that you all may have to share with each other.
I have something to share, Rebecca.
Go ahead, Ryle.
Yeah, hey everyone. I am here because I wanted to share about the Heartland Regional Food Business Center and the role that the local foods team at K-State Research and Extension plays on that project. At some point, it might be helpful for us to share more formally about that program. But what I wanted to say today is that we will be hiring 2 positions to support K-State Research and Extension's work on the Heartland Regional Food Business Center. So this is a new program out of USDA. The Heartland Regional Food Business Center is one of about a dozen that have been established across the country. And this one is based out of UNL, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. K-State Research and Extension is a key partner on this program. There are a couple other key partners in Kansas, including KC Healthy Kids, Kansas Rural Center, that are involved in this project. But for K-State Research and Extension, we are dedicating some of our funding to support 2 new entrepreneurial food systems entrepreneurial resource navigators is what we're calling them. A little bit of a mouthful there, but we are very close to posting that position. I don't have a link just yet, but I might have a link by the time Rebecca or by the time the follow-up email from this meeting is sent out. So please keep an eye out for those 2 positions to be posted and share through your networks. We're really excited about this new effort and excited to be bringing on some new team members. And then I'll shift gears just slightly. The other thing I'll share, this is connected to the Rural Grocery Initiative, is that we are hosting the National Rural Grocery Summit this June in Montgomery, Alabama. And we currently have our request for proposals open. So if you all have any innovative rural grocery projects that you'd like to talk about in front of a national audience, please consider submitting a proposal. Proposals are due next Friday, and it's a great opportunity to connect with others in the rural food access landscape, share some of your work, and an added perk that presenters receive a discounted rate on registration if you're selected. So just a couple updates there. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryle. I've had a couple folks in the chat tell me they had announcements. So Teresa, do you want to go ahead and share yours?
Hi, Rebecca. Sure. I don't know why my camera is not coming on, but I'll still go ahead and give my update. My name's Teresa Veazey. I'm with the City of Wichita, but I'm one of the staff members who are working with the Wichita-Sedgwick County Food and Farm Council. Let me put the URL in the chat. Our next meeting of the Food and Farm Council is coming up next month, February 6th. And this is now our 6th meeting. We are still in our infancy, but are working along with Food and Farm Council members to look at the Wichita-Sedgwick County Master Food Plan, look at those goals, look at those objectives, and decide as council members what they would like to focus on in the coming year. So I invite everyone, the Zoom information is on the website to attend, listen in, just watch. Again, this council is really new. We've only, had a few meetings, but we're excited about the work ahead for the city and for Sedgwick County. Of course, there's no cost to attend. And if you do happen to be in Wichita, we meet at Rockwell Library on the east side of town and would love to see you there. If anyone on this call is interested in learning more about the Food and Farm Council and possibly even being a speaker or a presenter at an upcoming meeting, please let me know. I'll also put my email address in the chat, as we're always eager to introduce Food and Farm Council members to other work being done around the state with food policy. So that's my update. Oh, and Eileen's raising her hand. I should give a shout out to Eileen Horn from New Venture Advisors, as she's been a fantastic resource and a consultant with us as we work on this project.
That wasn't why I was raising my hand, but thank you for the
Okay.
shout out, Teresa.
Yeah, go. Thanks, Teresa. Go ahead, Eileen.
I just wanted to emphasize what I put in the chat. The Better Food Policy Fund is now open. It's unrestricted funding for food policy councils. And it's been my pleasure to serve on the Independent Advisory Council for that fund. So if you have any questions, you can direct them my way, or I'll also put the main email for the fund in the chat. But I would love to see some Kansas projects get funded.
That is really exciting. I've been watching that for the last couple months. So, Amanda, do you want to talk about the Kansas Black Farmers meeting?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, Rebecca mentioned that we're doing our roundtable with the Kansas Black Farmers Association on Friday, and they are having their quarterly meeting in Kansas City at K-State Olathe from 9 to 3, and it's open to anyone. And so that is the morning session is kind of devoted to a really great information session with Vital Farms, which is just a cool opportunity. So wanted to share that.
Which interestingly is one of the farms that Brittany mentioned at the beginning that is certified. So anyone else wanting to unmute and share? Carrie, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Rebecca and everyone. I just wanted to let everybody know that we're back in growing growers season. So for those of you that are near the Kansas City, Lawrence, even Western Missouri area, our apprenticeship is open and we're taking applications for apprentices, as well as scholarship applications, as well as host farm locations. So if you know farmers that are interested in getting involved in the program, please let us know if they're in this general vicinity. We also, with the support of the KDA, developed an online course last year, and it's live and ready to be used by the public. So I'm putting a link here into the chat where you can sign up to actually take the course, and it's offered through our global campus.
Great. Thanks, Gary. Londa?
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining today, by the way. Lots of great discussion and lots of announcements. Thanks everybody. It's very exciting to hear all the things that are happening. I just wanted to really quickly mention too, we have lots of upcoming events. It's kind of that season of the year, but we have a number of different partners are involved in a food business conference that's going to be in, last year it was in Olathe. This year it's going to be on in Independence, Missouri. So it'll be on the Missouri side of Kansas City this year, but it's kind of for, aspiring food business entities, and it's really on more the business side of things. So there's speakers on pricing and things like that of your products. So and it's free for people to attend. So really encourage people to check that out if you're interested. So, and thanks again to all our partners and financial supporters of all the different activities that we do too. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Anyone else have an announcement? Ryan, I saw you posted in the chat that you would also, that Kansas Rural Center would be hiring a couple of positions for the Heartland Regional Food Business Center as well, but you said you didn't have any more information. So I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that at all or if you're good. Okay. In the chat, he says not yet. So, but lots of opportunities coming up for job opportunities related to local food systems, which is exciting in and of itself. Anyone else? Any questions on anything that's been covered?
Is anybody keeping up with this agritourism tax bill that's happening right now? I've been told by a couple of our growers that they're over in Topeka today speaking to the House about that. So my general understanding is I think they're trying to tax agritourism facilities the same as traditional farms, whereas in the past they have not done that. Does that sound correct, folks?
Harry, I don't know, but I could see if I can text the lobbyist we work with to find out. Do you have a bill number?
I do not have a bill number. No, sorry. I'm just
Okay. I'll see if I can get a quick answer.
okay. If you hear anything, feel free to email me, Eileen.
Carrie, do you have a sense of if changing the taxing is like increasing it for the agritourisms or decreasing it, or?
Again, I'm just sort of catching up on this whole conversation, but from what my generally understood is I think that agritourism facilities are being charged higher taxes than those that are just traditional agriculture. And so the message I've heard from the growers that they're trying to communicate is that, these agritourism facilities are farms, they're working farms, and they should be taxed the same way.
Sounds good. It looks
Okay.
like Elizabeth maybe got the bill number and the link in the chat. So thanks, Elizabeth, for picking that out. So that may be something that, others want to take a look at. Martha with Kansas Appleseed isn't on today, but they shared in their meeting a couple weeks ago, they put together a pretty neat toolkit on advocacy, and during the legislative session, they went through it during their meeting. It was really good. I know many of us, work for K-State or other entities where we can't lobby in the same way, but for those of you that are in other situations, you may want to take a look at that. I dropped that link in the chat as well. And then Londa just put a link in there about the morel mushroom identification sessions coming up later in March. So thanks, Londa, for that. So with that, kind of.
Rebecca,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
can
ahead.
I have a quick question for Londa on the food business conference that's in March? That's in Independence. Is that for both Kansas and Missouri side, or will it be more specific? Okay. I didn't know if KDA would be covering some of their regulations or.
No, so the one that's the March Food Business Conference, that's really not regulations. That's really on like business type of things like pricing and marketing plans and that sort of
Okay.
thing. But the February 9 workshop that we're having at K-State Olathe, that's the one that KDA presents on regulations and so on.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Yeah, sorry, a lot of similar things happening.
Mhm.
Okay, so on the screen, you see our next town hall will be Wednesday, April 24th at 11 a.m. We are changing up our registration just a little bit. So your registration will be through Zoom for the next 3 town halls. And actually this registration will register you for April, July, and October. So you should be able to get all of those calendar invites and hold the dates on your calendar for the rest of the year as well. And as always, notes and recordings, I try to capture as many links out of the chat as I can, will be on our website in a few days. So with that, I think that is pretty much everything we had on our agenda. I do have some closing poll questions. So for any of you that have ever, worked with grants and had to do grant reporting, our poll questions help us with some of our grant reporting as well. So I appreciate you hanging out and completing our poll for the end of the town hall. So we have 4 questions for the end of the town hall. We want to know, did you learn something today? Hopefully you did, because we had a lot of information. And then looking at what speakers were of particular value, and you can choose multiple speakers for sure. And then our third question, looking more about, did you learn about new funding opportunities, and asking if you are looking at applying yourself or sharing that information with others. And be honest, it's okay if you didn't learn something new or don't think it's applicable in your situation. And then our fourth question is just how many people you'll share something you learned with from the town hall today. And then our last question, which is on the slide, but not in the poll because it's not multiple choice. If you have suggestions for speakers or topics that you'd like to see in the future, go ahead and put that into the chat and we will capture that information. We use that in a lot of different ways. Sometimes we don't, the ideas don't end up in the town hall, but we use them as ideas for the local food producer workshop or things like that. Okay. So with that, we appreciate your time this morning and look forward to seeing you all again in April. Thanks, everyone.